Hi there, Bilal here again from itvarsity.org. For those of you that are following this series of videos, if you've come this far, well done, excellent. For those of you that are just watching this video, I hope you find it useful. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Now today we're talking about arrays in PHP. Previously we discussed variables in PHP. Now you can think of an array as a collection of variables. So it's a data type that contains within it other data types. And in this lesson, we're going to look at how to create and use arrays in PHP. In this lesson, we're going to look at PHP arrays. Now, in a previous lesson, we looked at variables. Now, the array is a type of variable, but it's slightly different from your normal integer or string variable in the sense that an array is actually a collection variable. It is a collection of other variables. So you can think of an array as either a collection of integers or a collection of strings or a collection of real numbers. Now we're going to start by creating arrays in PHP to demonstrate how they actually work. To start off with, we're going to create a new PHP file. So we go to the NetBeans file menu and click on new file. Next, and we're going to call this one arrays and finish. Okay, as per usual, put in the close PHP tags, and now we're going to start creating our array. So we're going to start off by declaring a new variable. We'll call it $players because this is going to have a list of all the players in our video game, is equal to, and here we use the array function or the array keyword, and inside there we're going to put in all the names. And because this is a string type array, we are going to use double quotes separated by commas. Seem to keep forgetting my double quotes. Let's put in one more. And that's it. That's our array created. Now we can do all sorts of things with this array. For example, we can get a count of the number of items in that array. Let's start with that. So we'll echo count $players. Let's see how many elements there are in this array. So we save this, we head off into the browser, and now we point the browser to arrays.php. And sure enough, it says 5. So we've got 5 elements in this array. Now, how do you display all the elements in our array? There's two ways of doing it. One way is if you want to display just one specific element in that array. So for example, if you want to display the first element in the array, you'll display it like this: echo $players and in square brackets 0. Now this is the thing about arrays. The first element has a position of 0, not 1. And the second element has a position of 1. So in this array, the positions will be as follows: 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So players element 0 should output Tim. Let's save this and refresh. There we go. It says Tim. So that's the one way. In fact, let's try it again. Let's try it with element 4. Save that and refresh. And element 4 is Amy. Now what happens if we reference an element that's not there? For example, if we had to reference element 5, remember 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Amy is the last element in the array. and Amy is on index 4. So index 5 doesn't actually exist. Let's see what happens. Save, refresh, and we got an error. So nothing is displayed because there is actually an error. Now we're not actually outputting, currently we're not outputting PHP errors, but we're going to need to do that shortly. So that's the first way to output elements in an array. The second way is by using a loop. You could use a for loop or a while loop. Let's use a for loop. So we're going to say for $count is equal to 0, $count is less than equal to 4, $count plus plus. Now what's happening here? This is a standard for loop that's basically counting from 0 to 4. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to echo each of the players in that array. So instead of referring to its actual number, we're going to refer to $count. So as $count increments from 0 to 4, at each point it's going to output, this line is going to output the element that's in that position. So for example, when $count is 0, that's in the first iteration of the loop, echo, oops, I missed out the dollar here, echo $players of $count will output $players reference 0, which is Tim. The second time when $count is 1, $players position 1 is Sally, and so forth. Let's just put in a line break here, so that our output is a bit neat. Let's put in a line break here too. Save this and refresh. And there we go. All the elements in our array are now displayed. Now the thing with arrays is that sometimes, very often in fact, you will increase the size of your array. Let's add a couple more names here. Right, so we added John and Henry. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 elements in the array. Now if we run this code as it is in our browser, what's going to happen here? Okay, let's comment out this line so it doesn't cause any confusion. Now see what's happening here. It's only outputting the first 5 elements in the array and it's completely ignoring the last 2 elements. Why is that? The reason why this is happening, and this is such a serious error, right? Because you're leaving out 2 elements in your array, but it's such a small issue, and that issue is right here. Can you see the issue? It's that we are counting up until 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whereas we need to count up till 6, not 4. Now we can always go in and change this 4 to a 6. But the question is, what happens the next time the array increases again? Let's say we put in a few more names. Then each time the array increases as more and more players sign up for your game, you're going to need to go into the code and make the change in the code, which is ridiculous. There's no way that you'll be able to keep a track of that. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to use one of the array features which you've already seen, which is there. Now, the array function count returns the number of elements in the array. Remember in our browser, it returned 7. And as the array increases, the value or decreases, the value of count is always going to change. So we got the number of elements in the array by calling out the function count. We can get that information. What we're going to need to do now is to capture that information and use that in our for loop rather than hard coding an actual number there. Okay, so let's do this. Let's create a new variable. And we'll call it num elements, which, oops, forgot the equals to sign, which is actually equal to the number of elements in our array. Okay, and here we're gonna change this to num elements. All right, now what this is going to do is it's going to count up until number of elements in our array, and the current number of elements in the array is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. As you can see there in the output, the 7 is highlighted. It's counting up till 7, but there's a problem because yes, there are 7 elements in the array, but the index of the last element is not 7, it's 6. So we actually need to count up until 6 and not 7. So what we do there is simply remove the equals to. So now we're going to count until less than 7, 1 less than 7, which is 6. And by counting up till 6, we'll be outputting all the elements in the array. Let's try this in our browser. There we go. We got all 7 elements in our array outputted as normal. And the for loop is adjusting itself dynamically based on the number of elements in this array. So as the number of elements increases and decreases, the for loop's final count will increase and decrease, which ensures that all the elements in our array will be output. Let's test this. So let's add a couple more elements. Let's add just one more. There we go. So we've added 3 more elements to our array. Let's see how our code handles that. Refresh, and perfect. You can see those 3 more elements are now reflecting in the list of items in the array. Awesome stuff. So in this lesson, you learned how to create an array and how to iterate through that array using a for loop.